Welcome to Golf Industry Guru and the Gig Podcast, where we interview the best and brightest golf and hospitality leaders on the planet. On today's episode, you will learn some proven real-world solutions that'll help you and your team solve some of your biggest golf business challenges. So stick around for some tips, tools, and training to get you, your people, and your business powered on. Here's your host, James Cronk.
So I'm here with Hugh Culver, our fantastic, I would say our guru that really understands about getting yourself the best that you can be, working on ourselves, working on time management, working on communication, working on our personal branding. And Hugh's gonna, this might be a personal request, but Hugh's gonna talk today a little bit about how to stay fit when you have a difficult time staying fit. And Hugh, I can tell you, I need to learn everything you're gonna talk to me about today with regards to being healthy and staying fit. Am I not correct that I don't know if when's the last time you did a marathon or an Ironman, but I know you're paddle boarding, you're running, you're a healthy guy, for goodness sakes.
I like to think I'm a healthy guy. So I'm 62 years old.
Wow.
And I've done many Ironman and marathons in my day. In the last 5 years, I turned to racing outrigger canoes, which is really an amazing sport. It's obviously a lot of people would know about outrigger canoes from seeing them on the beaches of Hawaii, but actually they're, for example, all over South Africa, Newport Beach, like there's tons of clubs all over the world. And we happen to have an amazing club in Kelowna, British Columbia that I'm involved with. And so I race solo outrigger canoes, but also I'm on a team of 6 guys. We're all over 60. And so we call ourselves the prune pickers. And, it's a really fun, hardcore workout. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really fun. Yeah.
And is it a 6-man outrigger canoe?
6 man.
Yeah.
45 feet long. And it's made out of carbon fiber. It's very expensive. And so we've raced in the United States, we've raced in Canada, we've raced at the Nationals, and we don't always win, but we have a lot of fun afterwards.
You have a good time. I'm sure you have a good time. Well, Hugh, we've talked before about how your history of time management and of understanding how to get stuff done and how to take care of yourself and manage yourself that helps you in your job and helps you in your business. In our golf industry business, no matter where you are in the world, sometimes it's kind of feast or famine. It's like, you're working 6 days a week, 14 hours a day, for the golf season. And then all of a sudden, maybe you shut down for a few months and you get some time off when the snow's on the ground or when the golf course is being overseeded or whatever it might be. But it's a bit of in the hospitality business. It's demanding. It's demanding on time. It's, if you're in the member business, the service business, there's people always grabbing at you. There's staff grabbing at you. It's tough to take care of yourself, and it's tough to kind of be disciplined. And today I was hoping that you were going to share with us, if you don't mind, maybe a few little tidbits on what our team can do to stay fit.
Right. So this is such a great topic. When I was younger, James, I know you and I, we had, it was a different lifestyle, right? So we had lots of time. So when I was training for marathon running, it was no big deal to go for a 2-hour run, or jump on my bike for 4 hours or 5 hours. Well, those days are gone. And so I want to talk about 2 things that I think are really important for people to focus on as they get older, as they take on more responsibility, and as time becomes more precious. And the first one is systems, and the second one is habits. But before I get to those 2, I want to just spend a minute and talk about the way our mind works. Daniel Gilbert, so he's the author of now I forget the name of his book. So he's the author of the book on happiness. Anyways, I'll tell you his quote first and I'll think of it in a second. He says, our brain accepts what our eyes see and our eye looks for whatever our brain wants. And so the notion is that we we look for evidence to prove we are right. And so before I talk about what the big solution is, we need to recognize the fact that whatever we believe to be true, we're going to look for evidence to prove it's true. So if we are run off our feet, we will notice how often we are super busy. If we find that everybody else demands of our time, we will notice all of the incidences every week that people demand of our time, or that it's impossible to eat healthy food, or it's impossible to find 15 minutes to go for a fast walk around the course, or it's impossible to get to sleep because I need to watch Netflix for 45 minutes to detune, or whatever it is we believe. So before we get to the big solution, we need to recognize the fact that we need to change the way that we what we believe in, even if we have no evidence to support it. Okay, so
and is that kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy kind of concept a little bit, like where we because our father, our third father, our grandfather drank too much, then we're going to drink too much, or whatever it might be, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, it is kind of the only difference. The way I think of a self-fulfilling prophecy is this one is going to be supported by evidence. And right. So what I mean by that is I'm not just going to walk around chanting some mindless mantra. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go and prove to myself that this is actually true. But first we have to start off with what we believe to be true. So for example, if I believe that I can always find 15 minutes every day, then I will find 15 minutes every day. And then once I've done that a number of times, it becomes true. If I believe that I am a promise keeper, and damn it, if I put it on my calendar, I'm going to keep it, then I will notice every time I keep that promise. And so that's the first thing, is to recognize. It's kind of like, I was thinking of this corny analogy before I got on this call, and I was thinking it's kind of like you want your body to be like a Porsche, but you own a minivan, right? You want to be like a Porsche because you were a Porsche in your 30s. You were a Porsche in your your 20s, but now you own a minivan. And the problem with that minivan is it's really riding on really loose wheels, right? Like the wheels there's no commitment there because you have not practiced keeping commitments. So the first thing is, what do I believe to be true? And then looking for evidence to prove it is true. It's simple as this. I believe that I'm the kind of person that can go into a coffee shop and not also order a muffin with my coffee. Great. Do it for a whole week. And now you start to recognize, oh, wow, look, I did that. I did that for a whole week. And that's how a self-fulfilling prophecy becomes truth.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
awesome.
Okay. So the first thing is systems. Systems are, like Gretchen Rubin calls them, the invisible architecture of life. A system is something that makes it easy for me to get what I want. And a system also changes how I behave. So here's a simple example. So I fell in love last year with a beautiful new partner in my life. And one of the things I said we should do to sort of test the waters is go to Europe. And so this is all pre-COVID. We had this amazing trip, 2 weeks in Portugal, hiking down the Algarve coast and, sipping port in Porto. And then, James, we flew to Italy. And I said, you know what we should do in Italy? We've been hauling around our backpack. Why don't we do this? We'll check into one hotel. Every other place we've stayed in has been like a B&B or like a little room rental. Let's go to one hotel so we can drop our bags, and let's spend our last week of our trip in Italy with a day pack. See, that's a system change. When we have a big backpack, we fill it up, right? Every time you see someone holding on back, it's full, man. Not only is it full, they're probably carrying a second bag under one arm.
Yes.
But when you have a day pack, man, that's it. You got a day pack. And it was fantastic. It was so easy. It was so easy to get on a train, to get off a train. We didn't have to think about where to put our backpack. We didn't have to think about, someone robbing us with our backpack. So that's a system change. One of the first things, if you want to get fitter, is you got to fix your systems. If your systems are bad, you're going to get bad results. So a simple idea is this. If you always get up at, like, say, 7 o'clock, because, well, I think I need my 9 hours or 8 hours or 7 hours of sleep. A simple system change is to get up 30 minutes earlier and take care of yourself. That's a system change. You see, once you decide that that's going to be important and you do it for a week or a month, it becomes normal for you. Like I started getting up at 5 a.m. like decades ago, and I have had every day 2-hour advantage on the rest of the world.
Yes.
Right? Because when I get up in the morning, all I do is write. I do not go on email. I don't check social media ever. I just write whatever I'm working on. It might be a proposal, it might be a report, it might be a blog article or something like that.
Well, Hugh, in your book, Give Me a Break, wasn't there? I remember there being a chart that talks about if you literally get up 1 hour earlier each day. I mean, over the course of a year, you've gained like a week or 2 weeks on everybody else of productivity.
Yeah, a good formula to think about is 10 minutes a day is the equivalent of 1 week a year. So imagine if there's people listening to this, imagine if you just had 10 minutes every day and you went for a fast walk. The secret, by the way, if you're listening to this, if you don't know it already, is when I'm saying going to a fast walk, you have to get your heart rate above the point where you can't comfortably talk, at least for one of those 1 minute out of that. So walking normally with a dog or whatever, what that does is it wears out your shoes. Like that's not exercise. That's nice for the dog, but it's not going to do anything for you. You have to get your heart rate up. But if you did that 10 minutes a day, that's a week. Like that's an unbelievable gift that you've just given yourself.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that.
Okay. So systems include when you wake up, when you go to sleep. Systems include making it easy to go and exercise. So, for example, when I leave to go to my office, which is about a 15-minute drive from my home, I take the bag with me. That's my gym stuff. It's already in the bag. It's really easy for me. So it's a system that makes it easy for me then to go from my work to the gym on my way home. So you want to remove any kind of barriers that get in the way of making it easy. So, for example, a simple idea would be before you leave for work, put your running shoes by the door. So now when you come home, they're the first things that you see, or your walking shoes, or whatever it is that you know you'll be able to enjoy to get a little fitness in.
And it's probably no different than making the fruit salad the night before for next morning's breakfast, or as opposed to, like you said, going to Starbucks and getting a muffin. If you've got your breakfast made or your lunch made or whatever it might be, I mean, then it's a system that's just going to help you not have a muffin for breakfast.
Yeah, absolutely right. And I know that we're all busy and we're rushed. And here's the funny thing. And so, by the way, the name of the book is Stumbling on Happiness by Daniel Gilbert. He's a psychologist. Stumbling on Happiness. And the premise, this is actually apropos to what we're talking about. The premise of his whole book, and he's got a fantastic TED Talk all about this, is that he went and studied, I think, 14,000 people. And the big question they were looking at, James, was, how do you think about your past as opposed to your future? Now, like, how much variety do you think you had in your past as opposed to how much variety you think you'll have in your future? And he said it was overwhelmingly, the response was way more variety in my past than I have in the future. That I had all these jobs and careers and romances and relationships, and my future, I got a job, I got the kids, I got the wife. And he said,
really?
It's bizarre. And so the point is, you can change anything you want, but you need to understand that that's the way life is designed to be. It's not like we lose options. Like, in fact, we gain options, right?
Well, I always laugh when I'm, like you, Hugh, I always laugh having conversations with my two boys about their future, telling them all the time until they're sick in the face. And I'm saying, you have all the options in front of you. There's anything you want to do in life, you can do, and then yet we don't apply that same philosophy sometimes to ourselves. Absolutely. And what's the difference? There's no difference, for goodness sake.
And you know this yourself, right? If you say, okay, here's what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on this incredible hut-to-hut hike in Italy or in, the South Island of New Zealand, or I'm going to go and walk this big long trail or something that requires physical exercise. Damn it, you're going to get ready, man. You're going to get in shape. Yeah. You're going to make it a goal. You're going to get to work. You're going to go and do it. And that's an example of looking into your future and saying, well, what if I wanted that? And exercising all of your options to get what you want. But unfortunately, what happens is we are victims of the path of least resistance, which is, well, it's just a lot easier to keep doing it the way I've done it. And so my first solution, if it is one, is look at your system. Like look at what are you hauling around a backpack, or should you be hauling around a day pack? Because and another simple system is to go on your calendar today, if you're listening to this, and just put a repeating appointment with yourself on there. So, for example, I like to go to the gym 3 times a week, and I exercise on the week. We hike every morning for 5 kilometers, then 3 times a week to the gym, and then I have much more intense on the weekend. Right, it's really easy. Just repeat that appointment 3 times a week. There it is, 4 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 4 o'clock. Just repeat it. And so now you've got a commitment, and your challenge is to keep that commitment for 1 month.
Well, and you read all these books, all these stories. I mean, obviously there's nothing new again, but you talk about in work, our body is our machine. I mean, we are in our health, like whether it's mental health, whether it's physical health, whether it's happiness, doesn't matter what it is. If we talk about in our business, we're in a stress business in the industry, the golf industry, generally speaking, I mean, it's a fantastic business. We're not saving lives and building rocket science, but at the end of the day, we can find ourselves with people, and people is an environment where we need to be at our best. And so, like you said, showing up at work or finding that time for ourselves, we wouldn't drive a car for 3 years without putting oil in the car, just like we shouldn't expect to go a month without putting some oil in our own tank.
Yes, and I think that before we get on to the second tip, which is all around habits, I think we need to understand that, again, we're not in our 30s. If you're listening to this, you're probably not in your 30s. You don't have unlimited time during the day. You need to reinvent what fitness means. And fitness does not have to mean, so for example, when I go to the gym, I look at the clock as soon as I arrive, and I pick 30 minutes, and that's the time I walk out of the gym. I walk out, I have a 30-minute routine that I alter now and then, but my objective is not to be a gym rat. My objective is to definitely not break that system. And so the way I do it is 30 minutes, and I feel fantastic after 30 minutes. So yeah, it's not as much as I used to in my youth, but it is so much better than nothing.
And in today's day and age, whether, what's going on, I mean, you can go for a walk, like you said, you can go, do yoga, do Pilates, go to the gym, play a sport, play racquetball. I mean, there's all kinds of different ways to find that level of fitness, obviously.
Oh, absolutely. So that leads me to habits. And I'm just doing a little technical thing right here called plugging in.
Plugged in. That should be the name of our podcast, Plugged In, with Hugh Culver.
That's it. Well, that's a free have that one.
You obviously didn't have in your system to keep your computer charged.
I know. I'm trying to be comfortable, so I'm in the mood. So then this leads me to habits. So as you know, James, I'm a big fan of habits. And yes. I think there's something about habits that is worth sort of describing and explaining. So a lot of us know what habits are, of course, right? We all have habits during the day. We have a habit around how we make our coffee. We have a habit around how we get in our car. But habits actually build willpower. And the reason is because for you to execute a habit, you have to keep a promise with yourself. And so leadership requires willpower, because willpower is how we get hard stuff done. And so I'm a big fan of habits, so that you have habits that obviously help you to stay fit, but also you create commitments with yourself so that you can build that kind of willpower. The alternative, or the opposite, is everybody else runs your day. So I started, my first habit was to stop drinking coffee 20 years ago. And then I went for 13 years without drinking alcohol. Then I got into cold showers 7 years ago. I write every morning for 2 hours. I drink water as soon as these are just like simple little habits. But what I've noticed is every time I adopt a habit, I feel proud of myself because I am keeping a commitment with myself. When it comes to fitness, I think the worst thing to do is to look for when there's an opportunity on your calendar. What's much better is to develop a habit for when you will go to whatever it is you're going to do, the fast walk, you're going to go and jump on your bike. You're going to go for a quick hike behind your house. You're going to go to the gym or whatever it is you enjoy doing. You're going to go rock climbing or bouldering, but you should do it as a habit. And the best way to build a habit is to stack it on an existing habit.
Can you give me an example about how that in a work life or in your kind of, your day, when you stacking habits together? I mean, in Hero Habits, one of your great also books, and I suggest people go on hughculver.com and get onto your newsletter and download your Why You Stay Stuck and the Fast 5 Ways to Get Unstuck, all this stuff that we're talking about today. I mean, that's where all those, I guess the part of it also from a habit standpoint is learning about these things that get us stuck. Is that part of it too, is understanding and identifying what those habits are that's keeping us from getting unstuck or to get us unstuck? Is that part of what that is all about?
Yeah. So every habit is associated with a reward. And so whether you do something or procrastinate about doing something, you're getting some kind of a reward. So we need to understand that. There's always a motivation for a habit, even though it's a habit we don't necessarily want. So if I sleep in, there's going to be a reward for sleeping in. If I procrastinate on a difficult phone call, there's a reward of avoidance. I don't have to do that difficult phone call and experience whatever emotional pain might come along with that. So there's if you procrastinate about praising somebody at work and you think, you know what, they're really good. It's probably not a great time, or I'm a little bit busy, or they might take it the wrong way, or maybe their colleague will take it the wrong way because I haven't praised them. All of those reasons start flashing through your mind. Next thing you know, you procrastinate about the praise. And so you're getting the reward. And so when you want to build a new habit, you need to identify what's the new reward. So you have to put a new reward on it. And so when it comes to fitness, most of us don't get somebody praising us for going to the gym, right? Most of us, there's not a ticker tape across our driveway when we come back from a fast walk, like, hey, unbelievable, James did it. Neighbors all come out with balloons. And so that's fine. We need to create a reward. So for example, years and years ago, and I have like probably now 24 calendars that have recorded this. I record every workout I do, whether that is a competition or a training or just a walking, Donna and I walking our dog Riley in the morning. Like I record it all because that's the reward. You see, me writing on that little real estate calendar that I get every Christmas, that's the reward. It's the reward on the habit that keeps the habit alive. And so you have to think, all right, first of all, if I want to do a new habit, what's the habit? That's step number one. What's the habit I want? Okay, I want to go for a 15-minute walk before I have my lunch. Great. Okay, that's pretty easy. You've got the time. It's on your calendar. You're probably going to have that around 12 o'clock every day. Perfect. Okay, next thing you need to do is you need to stack that on top of something you already do. Okay, well, what do I do just before I break for lunch? Well, what I do is I check my email and I make sure that there's no voicemail outstanding. That's the last thing I do before I break for lunch. Great. Okay, once you've done that, it's time to stand up and go for your walk. Great. Third piece is, now that you've identified the habit, you figured out what you're going to stack it on top of. The third piece is, what's the reward? Great. You're going to write it down on a little piece of paper. So you're going to keep track of it. You're going to do like little hashtags every week. You're going to put a sticker on the wall. You're going to, whatever it is, but you need to manufacture a habit because subconsciously you need that reward to prove to yourself that it was worth doing. We don't come back from a walk, look in the mirror and see that we've dropped weight. Like it doesn't work that way. We need the incremental reward to keep us going.
That's awesome, Hugh. That's fantastic. And thank you so much. I think that in today's challenging times, being healthy, taking care of yourself, spending time learning about these types of things, and realizing that it's not just by osmosis. I mean, like you said, there's a process, a system, and a step, and a strategy to change habits, to develop good habits, to get rid of bad habits. And as I said, I strongly recommend people to go to your website and look at all the wonderful information about time management and about hero habits and about ways to get things done and to be accomplished. I think obviously that's one of the ways that you've been able to fill your life with so many things that whether it's busy or whether it's accomplishments, it's productivity, right? It's part of making the most of your time, whether you want to write a book, or you want to ride a canoe, or you want to travel around the world and backpack. It's about making your time productive, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. James, I think that we need to always recognize as human beings and as leaders that what we did in the past doesn't always serve us in the future, right? It may have worked in the past, but doesn't always serve us in the future. And I think when it comes to fitness, a good example is that just getting by because we are young and knowing that we can kind of beat up our body and abuse it won't necessarily work in the future. Great. So change your strategy. And as leaders, we understand how that works in business. Now we need to apply the same thinking to the way that we take care of ourselves.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to let you go because I think it might be time for a walk for you, I think, and it's certainly time for me to go to the gym. So I appreciate that, Hugh, very much. It's been wonderful having you on Golf Industry Guru podcast. It's always so educational and so entertaining. I have a great admiration for all that you do, and invite our listeners to learn more at hughculver.com.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it.
All the best.
Thanks for listening to the Gig Podcast. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and mostly that you learned a few things that will help you improve your business. Join us next time as we continue to bring you the best and brightest golf and hospitality leaders on the planet. Thanks for listening.